Morning, everybody. Today I want to talk about a mission that we did on the night of the 19th of November 2010. We were working out of Ghazni at that time. And we got a mission for urgent medevac to a place called COP Miri. We had been in there one other time during the day, or a couple times during the day, so I was familiar with it. Very tiny little artillery firebase, I believe. It was right on the edge of a village and very tight LZ, enough room to land one Black Hawk, and it had high walls around it, so you had to do a semi-steep approach, excuse me, and also it was extremely dusty around it. So this was a night mission under night vision goggles. I was flying in the right seat, and the other pilot was obviously in the left seat. He was on the controls to start with, and we took off to the south. Relatively pretty quick flight, I think less than 10 minutes. And you were down there, and there was a tower, I believe, on the north side or something where we had to approach from the south to the north. And he passed it on the west side and took a left turn, and I was explaining to him how to land into it, and he started his approach, and we started to come down. I was telling him to do certain things like push forward on the stick, keep the nose down, try to keep the airspeed up until the last moment, until we were actually over the base, because like I said, it was extremely dusty. And unfortunately, he did not do this. The dust grew and grew, and it reached a point to where he could not see anything, and he called for a go-around, which is fine. Anybody can call a go-around. They're uncomfortable. Obviously, if you're uncomfortable, don't push it. You don't want to kill us and destroy the aircraft in the process, obviously. But as we took back off again, started the climb and headed back to the north to circle around in a left traffic pattern, the pilot told me that he couldn't do it. And I was like, what do you mean you can't do it? He's like, I'm uncomfortable, I can't do it. So I'm thinking at the time, I'm like, are you kidding me? You can't do it. You're a pilot in command, supposed to be going to, what do you call it, instructor school when we get back from the deployment to become a instructor pilot. I was like, all right, I have the controls. So I took the controls, came around, left traffic pattern, set up my approach, and as I was doing the approach, I was talking on the intercommunication system, the ICS, and basically explaining the process, what I was doing, and this step-by-step process. A friend of mine taught me back in NTC, out in California, and that was before we deployed to Iraq, and it never forgot it. You know, how to come in and into a dusty LZ and avoiding a complete brownout. So coming in, doing a semi-steep approach, and as the dust started to build, the crew chief in the back said where the dust was. They would say, you know, rotor disc out, it's at the tail, it's at the center of the aircraft, and usually, or right when it hit the tail, is where I push forward on the stick to push the nose down a little bit, and that kind of arrested our descent. And just we were flying low and somewhat slow, but enough to keep the dust behind us. And I told the crew chief, as soon as the tail crosses over the wall, let me know, and then I would just drop it into the LZ. So did this. As soon as he gave me the go-ahead, I dropped the tail and planted it right in. The dust eventually caught us, but we were already on the ground. And I remember very vividly, because the medic that was right behind me, he said over the ICS, "Whoa, I'm glad somebody could land the aircraft." Obviously a dig on the other pilot. But what this mission was, unfortunately, in the town square, city center, whatever, bad guys decided they were going to rocket their own people, drop some mortars in there or whatever it was. But unfortunately, a lot of civilians were injured and killed. Um, Unfortunately, one of them was a 12-year-old girl was holding her baby brother. And when the rockets started hitting, she panicked and basically tossed her little brother in the air. And unfortunately, we lost that baby to basically a skull fracture. And when we picked up the three individuals, it was the 12-year-old, the less than 1-year-old baby brother, and the father of the two children. We picked all three of them up and brought them back to Ghazni. And there was a interpreter there. After the fact, after we did the post-flight and everything, waited a while, then we walked down to the hospital because it was literally like 3 buildings away, super close. And we went in and we saw a little girl. She was sleeping at the time. Unfortunately, she lost her eye due to shrapnel. She had an eye patch, taped over her eye, whatever, and just kind of lay there sleeping, recovering. And the father was sitting there, and we asked the interpreter to basically, so if we could speak through him and tell the father, how sorry we were that he lost his child and his daughter was severely injured. And this particular time, it kind of took us back quite a bit when the father's response was basically with a smile. He said, "It's God's will. It's God's will." And basically, when I heard that, I was just like, wow, that wouldn't be my God's will to take my baby child and almost lose my 12-year-old girl or daughter. But I guess different places are in different religions. We're all different, I guess. But it was very disheartening. I mean, not only that, his statement, but it was disheartening that we lost this little boy to begin with. But that was it. That was that mission. Unfortunately, like I said, there were fatalities, and children were always the hardest. Hit us the hardest because I didn't at the time, but a lot of us had children at home, and of course, when you look at a injured child, you see it as your child, and it's extremely painful. Unfortunately, there were a couple more missions where we did lose children, but there were also quite a few missions where we picked up children that were severely injured, but they survived. So obviously, those were much better outcomes. And unfortunately, this pilot that couldn't make this landing, this happened a couple other times on other missions. I don't know. It always bothered me and still does bother me to this day that this person was a pilot in command and could not make the landing. I guess what would have happened if I was injured or I couldn't see or something. I was spatially disoriented. I guess we just don't land at all, I guess. But that was rather sad. And unfortunately, this individual went on and did become an instructor pilot. And then from there, I won't share any other details, but just anyway. All right, that's it for this mission. If anybody has any questions or comments, please reach out to me. I respond to everything, good or bad. If it's too bad, I'm just going to delete it, so don't even bother. But anyway, have a great day. Have a great weekend. Take care, everybody. Bye.